in America has a Beale Street. What does that mean exactly?
For me, it was the idea that Mr. Baldwin was writing this book. I mean, obviously it's not set in Memphis, but I think the idea was any place, whether it's America, somewhere on the continent of Africa, Europe, wherever, any place that Black folks have found a way to build communities, build family, build love, I think that is a Beale Street. And so I think this is the story of one family, but I think the struggles they go through and their love that helps them endure is something that's applicable to so many other lives, both in this room, and rooms in Memphis, and rooms where I'm from in Miami, and Watts, just all over the place. And I think that's the meaning of the phrase, yeah.
Absolutely. I love a movie that urges me to want to go out and educate myself and read more about that. And I've learned so much more about Beale Street since this movie really popped up on the radar. Were you guys familiar with the significance and the importance of Beale Street coming into this?
No, I didn't read Beale Street until I was preparing for the chemistry read. I was just familiar with Baldwin from like online content, speeches and interviews. So this was the first novel I read.
Yeah, same thing for me. I knew Baldwin as a poet and as an activist, but I hadn't really read any of his novels until I read Barry's screenplay.
Speaking of the great James Baldwin, we were all just in New York together, and I mentioned to all of you guys that we just passed the 31st anniversary of his passing. So he has been gone for quite some time at this point. Whenever you're making a film that is so important to his legacy and his work, how much does the spirit of him hang over? How much are you thinking about what he would have thought of this, and how much do you go, you know what, we've got to do this on our own?
Yeah, for me, it was the whole point of the film was to try to make it in Mr. Baldwin's spirit, I want to say. The book is so rich and so dense that there was a lot of spirit to go around. And what I told the actors was, it takes 20 hours to read the book, and it only takes 2 hours to watch the film. So that 18 hours, that essence of both Mr. Baldwin, of this book in particular, The Fire Next Time, just so many of the other narratives that Mr. Baldwin wrote, all those things should be present in the characters. And I think it's why, this is a 32-day shoot, but I think the actors all showed up so richly prepared because the inner life of the characters was so very densely sort of created, both in this source material and in all the essays, and like these guys said, the online content that Mr. Baldwin left behind for us.
And for you guys, what's the balance of being able to sort of crack open the book in between takes on set, or just going to Barry and saying, what do you think about this?
Not in between takes on set, but...
No, I did have the book with me every day on set, though, just because, lucky for me, it's written from my character's perspective. So there's just so much more information about what Tish is thinking and feeling in the book that, like Barry just said, all of that can't make it into the script, but it has to make it into my performance. So the book was, the most essential part of my preparation and development of this character.
Stefan?
Yeah, I would agree. The book was the Bible. I think I read it maybe 2 or 3 times while making the film myself. And, Baldwin puts so much on the page. For an actor, it's a dream. He's so honest and even in the darkest of moments and in the lightest of moments and the most joyous moments, he can be so honest and bring you so much love and so much pain all in one. And for me, it was a blessing to have the book to refer to during the process.
Absolutely. Speaking of the book, speaking of James Baldwin, Barry, is it true that you started writing the screenplay, the adaptation, without actually getting the blessing from the Baldwin estate? And if that is true, then how do you know if they're going to sign off on it? Are you willing to put that much time into it without it potentially ever becoming anything?
Yeah, I didn't know. When I wrote the screenplay, I didn't have the rights to the book. I hadn't contacted the Baldwin estate at all. And I wrote this at the same time that I wrote Moonlight, which technically I didn't have the rights to Terrell's play either at the time. But I wasn't really concerned with where the thing was going to end up. It was just about the work, to be honest, about the writing. And it's good that I treated 2 things that way, because when I came back from Europe in summer 2013, I had 2 screenplays. Thankfully, I could actually call Terrell Alvin McCraney and talk to him and show him the screenplay. With this, I had to basically become a part of the Baldwin family to get to know the Baldwin estate, which took 3.5, 4 years. But in that time, we were making a movie that was going to go and win Best Picture, and so it was time well spent.
I love how you can just casually drop in your movie won Best Picture.
But it didn't casually win Best Picture.
I'm not touching that, man. You want to joke about that? That's all. I'll let you touch on that. Obviously, this film takes place decades ago, but there are so many aspects of this film that are, because of the era we live in today, timely and topical and relevant. Does it matter when this movie was made? Would it always be timely, topical, and relevant, or is it because it's coming out right now?
I think if we had made this movie 10 years ago, I think it still would have been relevant. I think it just speaks truth to power, to a few of the decisions we made, which was, I thought about updating the book and making it contemporary because then as a director, I could turn my camera in any direction and not have to worry about period appropriateness, of the cars, the costumes, and things like that. But I think I think there's a power in the fact that, yes, the book was published in 1974. The way the characters speak, the setting is still 1974, and yet so much that happens could very easily happen today. A lot of the things that happen in this book happened yesterday, and they're going to happen again tomorrow because these problems have been allowed to persist. And I think part of the reason we wanted to allow the book to remain set in the time in which it was written and published was to shine a spotlight on the fact that as much progress as we've made, there's still so much progress yet to go. And if you tell the truth, as Mr. Baldwin did, then what you say will always in some way be relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned feeling more educated after seeing this movie and feeling like I learned a lot walking out. I felt the same way about Moonlight. As a writer, director, as actors, do you feel with a movie like this that you're not just putting together a movie for an audience for them to come and enjoy on a Friday night, but there's also a sense of an education to it? Because for a lot of people, they're going to learn about aspects of life, aspects of people, aspects of society that they know nothing about.
I mean, only if it's like a Flintstone vitamin, then yeah, but not like a cod liver oil or nothing like that, So yeah, I do think it's important people enjoy the movie for sure. But it's James Baldwin, so you can't come into it and not take something out of it. It's going to stick with you. So, I mean, yeah, I think primarily we're just trying to do justice to the story and reflect the inner lives of these characters, which I think is really rich. Even if it's productive, I still think it's quite beautiful and lush and rich. I think that's something that should be savored and enjoyed. What y'all think, young people?
No, I agree. James Baldwin, anything that you read or watch of his, you are going, to learn something. But that wasn't our goal to be like, oh, I'm going to make this movie and it's going to leave the audience feeling like this. No, we just wanted to, tell the truth of this story and tell the truth of, these characters who, although they are fictional characters, there are real Tishes, there are real Fonnies, and we just knew that if we spoke the truth to that, then y'all gotta be left with some.
Yeah, I would agree, and just to give these guys a voice, honestly. For me, the biggest thing about playing Fonny was that I felt like there were a million Fonnies in this world, and Fonny was just one in a million, and we don't always see movies about guys like this. We don't always see documentaries about guys like this, but one documentary that really stuck with me was Khalid Browder's story, and that's actually what I based this character off of. It meant so much to me to be able to take this young man who had gone through such a tumultuous time as a 16-year-old boy. To sustain something like that, for a grown man, that'll be something that's difficult to go through, much less a boy. And to give these young men a voice, to show that there are people who love and have people who love them back, and families and friends and humanity ultimately, so that's what I think this whole story was about, is just giving a voice to these families.
You guys did it in a beautiful way.
I want to say one more thing though, man, because I think when you read James Baldwin, yes, you learn something, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the world, you learn a hell of a lot about yourself, to be brutally honest. But James Baldwin is also sexy, and he's funny as hell. And so I think when you watch this film, you're gonna get a little bit of sexiness. There's like a love scene, and everybody's laying down, Stefan taking off his shirt, and y'all can see he works out and all this stuff. And then when the families come over, people cutting each other, it's all kind of talk going around. So I think, yeah, it is entertaining, but at the end of the day, you're gonna walk away with something real. So yeah.
So Stefan, about that shirtless scene.
Which, you know what I'm saying about that? So we did that scene, right? I'm gonna keep it real, man. For any filmmakers in the audience, for any male filmmakers in the audience, I'm gonna keep it real. So we did that scene. As a director, I was like, I'm a man, James Baldwin's a man, so I gotta tell this scene from the female gaze somehow. And so the only time we take the wall off the set is during that lovemaking scene, that master shot. When they come in, they sit down. It's the only time when you're viewing that room from that side of the room, because Tish is on the bed, we're with her, we're not with him. So we do the whole thing in this master shot. I'm like, I'm brilliant, because he gets up and walks away, and the focus doesn't go with him. This is not in the film. I'm saying I wasn't brilliant, because this was wrong, and we changed it. So he gets up and he walks away, the focus stays with her. He goes off, he's just a soft blob. You never see him play the record, you never see him take his shirt off, nothing. So I showed the film to some friends, including my girlfriend, who's a filmmaker, and all her female friends are like, well, Barry, what do you think you're doing? It's like, this is the female gaze.